Hello everyone. In the previous class we have started with the module number 4 and we have discussed the basics of timer 0, timer 1 and T mode register, that is timer mode register, with few examples. As we have seen, in timer we have 4 different type of modes: mode 0, mode 1, mode 2 and mode 3. So today we are going to discuss mode 1 programming. So the topic is mode 1 programming. First we will see the characteristics and operation. The following are the characteristics and operation of a mode 1. So it is a 16-bit timer. Remember, mode 1 operates in a 16-bit. The operating mode is 0, 1 and it is a 16-bit timer, and this it is going to act as a 16-bit timer or counter, and you are going to load the values in THX and TLX, that is X stands for 0 and 1, are calculated. So it is there is no pre-scalar here. So this is mode 1. So it is a 16-bit timer. Therefore it allows values of 0000 to FFFF to be loaded into the timers register TL and TH. Remember here, whichever timer you can use, either 0 or 1, as it is a 16-bit timer. So 16-bit you can maximum load up to the value FFFF from 0000. So the value from 0000 to FFFFH is going to be loaded into the timer. So it is a 16-bit timer. After TH and TL are loaded, so when you load the value into the TH and TL with a 16-bit initial value, the timer must be started. So as you know, timer has to be started, then it has to be stopped. So when you load the values, initial values, into TL and TH register, the timer must be started. This is done by the software method or hardware method. Now we are going to use the software method. So by using the instruction set bit TR0, this instruction is used to start the timer 0, and to start the timer 1 we have to use the instruction set bit TR1. So these are the two instructions to start the timer 0 and timer 1. So remember, TR0 and TR1, these are the bits that are available in the TCON register. TCON register we have not yet discussed. We are going to discuss it in the same module. So TR0 and TR1, these are the bits available in the TCON register. So we have to use the instruction set bit TR0 to start the timer 0 register, timer 0, and we have to use set bit TR1 instruction to start the timer 1. So after the timer is started, it starts to count up. So remember, after the timer is started, it is going to start to count upper side. It counts starting up. It counts up until it reaches its limit. That is, the maximum limit is given for the 16-bit timer is FFFF. So it is going to count until it reaches the last value, that is FFFFH. When it rolls over from FFFF to 0000, that means whenever it reaches the highest value, that is FFFF, it rolls over to the next value. The next value is means 0000 is the next value. So it will not go to the 17-bit there, as the 16-bit is the higher one, and using 16-bit you can your maximum value is going to be FFFF. So it is going to rolls over to the lowest value, that is 0000. So in that case it sets high a flag bit called TF, that is timer flag. So whenever it rolls over from FFFF to 0000, it sets the high a flag bit called TF. So TF is again there are two timer flags, TF0 and TF1. Both these bits are again available in the TCON register. So remember, it is a timer flag. Whenever a timer rolls over from FFFF to 0000, it is going to set automatically. So whenever the timer rolls over from FFFF to 00, it is going to set a flag bit high, that is the flag bit called as timer flag. So this timer flag can be monitored. It has to be monitored by using the instruction called as JNB. JNB is the instruction that is used to monitor the timer flag bit. So when this timer flag is raised, one option would be to stop the timer with the instruction called as clear TR0. So you can stop the timer in case if you want to stop the timer. So how to stop the timer? By using the instruction CLR TR0. So one option is to stop the timer with the instruction CLR TR0 for timer 0 and CLR TR1 for the timer 1. So again it must be noted that each timer has its own timer flag, TF0 for timer 0 and TF1 for timer 1. So remember this procedure. Whenever you load the initial value into the timer TH and TL registers, you have to start the timer by using set bit TR0 or set bit TR1 respectively for timer 0 and timer 1. Then when it starts counting up, what happens? It reaches the highest value FFFF. Then it rolls over to 0000. At this time, timer flag sets equal to 1. Whenever TF flag is 1, it can be monitored. It can be monitored by using the instruction JNB. So one option is to stop the timer. If you want to stop the timer, how you can do that? By using the software method clear TR0. Clear TR0 for timer 0 and clear CLR TR1 for timer 1 respectively. So TF0 and TF1, these are the flag bits, timer flag bits that are available in the TCON register. So we will study that TCON register in the further classes. After the timer reaches its limit and rolls over, in order to repeat the process, TH and TL must be reloaded. Remember here, after the timer reaches its maximum limit, that is FFFF, and it rolls over, in order to repeat the process, what you have to do is TH and TL must be reloaded with the original value. So earlier whatever the value that you have loaded, the same value must be again reloaded into the TH and TL register. TF must be reloaded to 0. So remember here, TF value is not going to be cleared automatically. That has to be cleared by using an instruction. So TF must be reloaded to 0. So this is the procedure. Now we'll see how to generate a time delay. So to generate a time delay, load the T-mode value register indicating which timer 0 or timer 1. There are two timers out of which you have to select. So load the T-mode value register indicating the which timer, that is timer 0 or timer 1, is to be used, and which timer mode, that is timer 0 or timer mode 0 or mode 1 need to be selected. So remember here we are using the mode 1. You can either use timer 0 or timer 1, but we are programming using mode 1. That's why mode 1 must be selected here. Then load registers TL and TH with the initial count value. After selecting which timer you are using, so that particular value has to be loaded into the T-mode register. After doing this step, the next step is to load the TL and TH register with the initial count value. So load the value into the TL and TH register. TL and TH register are the registers in the timer 0 and timer 1. So whichever timer that you select, so load the initial value into the TH and TL. Then start the timer. start the timer. How to start the timer here? Timer can be started with the help of the instruction set bit TR0 or set bit TR1 for timer 0 and timer 1 respectively. So start the timer. Next step is to keep monitoring the timer flag. So how to monitor the timer flag? So that is by using the instruction called as JNB, jump if no bit. Remember, JNB is the instruction that is used to monitor the timer flag. So JNB TF0 comma target address, or JNB TF1 comma target address, or in general JNB TFX. X is nothing but 0 or 1, timer 0 flag or timer 1 flag to the target address instruction to see if it is raised. That means JNB, what this instruction does, it checks the following flag, that is timer flag is not 1, whether it is 1 or not. If it is not 1, repeat the instruction, execute the instruction again until TF becomes 1. So this is the instruction that is performed. Whenever it is equal to 1, what happens? Get out of the loop when TF becomes high. Whenever TF becomes high, get out of the loop. Unless and until it is not going to be high, keep on checking the TF flag. That means target address should be at the same place. JNB TFX, TF0 or TF1, then target address, its destination is again to the same instruction. That means keep on monitoring the same instruction, keep on monitoring the same flag again and again until it becomes 1. Once it becomes high, just come out of the loop, then stop the timer. How to stop the timer? By using the clear instruction CLR TF0 CLR TR0 or CLR TR1 for timer 0 and timer 1 respectively. So use the clear CLR instruction. Next step, clear the timer flag for the next round. Now after stopping the timer, you have to clear the timer flag manually. It will not be cleared automatically. That's why again you have to use the instruction clear TF0 or clear TF1 for timer 0 and timer 1 respectively. So clear the TF flag for the next round. Then finally go back to the step 2, that is load register TL and TH with the initial count value. So go back to the step number 2 to load again back the original initial value TH and TL again. So this is how you are going to use the steps to program in the mode 1 programming. We will see an example. So in this example, in the following program, we create a square wave of 50% duty cycle with equal portions high and low. That means 50% duty cycle means there are on period and off period. Both on period and off period must be same. That's why it is 50% duty cycle on the P1.5 bit. P1.5 means port 1 5th bit. Timer 0 is used to generate time delay, analyze the program. So observe the example here. So in this example, we are going to create a square wave of 50% duty cycle on the P1.5 bit. Timer 0 must be used. So recall T mode register now. In the T mode register, we are going to use timer 0 and mode 1. So to use timer 0 and mode 1, we have to load the T mode register with value 0, 1. So as we have seen up in previous example, how to load T mode register, as we are using timer 0 mode 1, load value 0, 1 into the T mode register. Now load initial value into the TL0 and TH0 registers. For that purpose, use instruction move TL0 comma F2H, that is TL0 is loaded with the lower byte value F2H, and move TH0 with the value #0FF. So immediate value FF2 is loaded in TH0 and TL0 registers. So lower byte is loaded in TL0 and higher byte is loaded in TH0. Then to generate a square wave, once it has to be 0, that is two voltage levels we have to consider, lower voltage level, higher voltage level. For that purpose, once value of P1.5 must be 0, another time a value of P1.5 must be 1. After that, every time whenever you complement, just call some delay. So that is the logic of the program. So CPL, that is complement P1.5. If the P1.5 value is 0 earlier, it will become 1 complemented. So toggle P1.5 continuously and call delay. Then call the delay program. So when a call delay is executed, it transfers the control to the delay program. So this is the delay program. In the delay program, set bit TR0. So timer is started. Timer 0 is started now. Start the timer 0. So to start the timer 0, we have to use the instruction set bit TR0. Now observe here, the TF0 flag, that is timer flag 0, is monitored continuously. So by using the JNB instruction, TF0 is monitored. So we have loaded the value FFF2H into the TF0. So observe the figure here, FFF2 is the first value that we have loaded into the TL and TH register. So what happens here, when timer 0 counts up with the passing of each clock which is provided by crystal oscillator, that is 11.0592 Hertz, a frequency of a crystal oscillator. So as the timer counts up, it goes through the next value, that is after FFF2, the next value is FFF3. So it has not yet reached the highest value, that is FFFF. So it starts counting. So unless and until it is not going to roll over FFFF2 000, timer flag remains 0. That's why first count FFF2, then in the next clock cycle it is FFF3, in the next clock cycle it is FFF4. So during this one, timer flag TF remains 0 only. So when it reaches FFFF, so from FFFF it rolls over to next value 0000. So whenever it rolls over, timer flag TF becomes 1. So monitor timer flag 0 until it rolls over. So whenever from the value FFFF2 0000, the timer flag becomes 1. Observe the figure here in that step number 6. So from FFFF, it next value is 0000. So TF value was 0 earlier, now it becomes 1. So in the instruction JNB TF0, whenever this happens, that is the value from FFFF2, it rolls over to 0000, TF becomes 1. So at this time the instruction fails JNB because the timer flag bit is high now. So it executes the next value, it comes out of the loop, that is it will not again go to the target again, it will come out of that loop, then execute clear TR0. Clear TR0 is what? It stop the timer 0. So this instruction is used, clear TR0, to stop the timer. Then you have to clear the TF flag. TF flag, you have loaded the value, that is it was automatically it has become 1, so it has to be cleared. Then RET what it does, whenever it was wherever it was called earlier, it will go back to that program again. RET means we have came from the main program, so it will return to the main program. The instruction that was called was a call delay, so it will just execute the next instruction after the a call delay, that is SJMP. Here SJMP is what? It is a short jump, without checking any condition it will jump. So this process is going to be continuously done without any stop. So again it will execute the, again it will load the original value, that is FF2 into TL0 and TH0. So this process is go on continuously done. So a square wave is generated. So from 0 to 1, if you want to have a square wave, a value, once you should have a 0 value, once you should have a higher value, that is 1. So that is done by the complement CPL P1.5, and the time off period and on period, that time is used with the help of delay, call delay, and the delay time is considered from whenever it counts the value from FFF2 to FFFF. This time delay is used for generating a delay for 50% duty cycle. So in the above program, observe the steps. T mode is loaded first. Here the arbitrary value is loaded here. FFF2 is loaded here. Then FFF2 is T mode is loaded. T mode is how it is loaded, that is timer 0 is used and mode 1 programming is used. That's why 01 is loaded in the T mode register. Then FFF2 is the arbitrary value. So that is loaded into the TH0 and TL0 register. Then P1.5 is toggled for high and low portions of the pulse. Then the delay subroutine using the timer is called, that is a delay subroutine. A subroutine program is called from the main program. So in the delay subroutine, timer 0 is started by using the set bit TR0 instruction. Then timer 0 counts up with the passing of each clock, which is provided by crystal oscillator. As the timer counts up, it goes through the states FFF3, FFF4, FFF5, FFF6, FFF7 up to FFFF until it reaches FFFF. One more clock, when it is used, it rolls over from FFFF to 0, then raising the timer flag, that is TF0 becomes 1. At this point, the JNB instruction fails through. So 7th step is timer 0 is again stopped. Timer 0 is stopped by the instruction clear TR0. The delay subroutine ends here. So it returns back to the main program. So to repeat the process. So notice that the to repeat the process, we must reload TL and TH register. So to repeat the process, again the original value of TL0 and TH0 must be reloaded and start the process again. So we'll see the example number 2. So in the previous example, calculate the amount of time delay. So we were not knowing what was the time that was delay program was used. So in this example, we are going to calculate the amount of time delay in the delay subroutine generated by the timer. Assume the crystal oscillator frequency as 11.0592 megahertz. Even though if it is not given, you have to assume the crystal oscillator frequency as 11.0592 megahertz. So the timer works with a clock frequency of 1/12 of the crystal frequency. Remember here, the timer always works with a clock frequency extol by 12, 1/12 of the crystal frequency. Therefore, we have frequency 11.0592 megahertz, which should be divided by 12. When you do this, you are going to get 921.6 kilohertz as the timer frequency. As a result, each clock has a period T is equal to 1 upon frequency, that is 1 upon 921.6 kilohertz. You will get 1.085 microseconds. So time required to execute one instruction is one clock cycle is 1.085 microseconds. In other words, timer 0 counts up. Whenever it counts up, each 1.085 microseconds resulting in delay, that is number of count into 1.085 microseconds. So the number of counts for the rollover FFFF up minus FFF2 is nothing but 0dh. So from FFF2, when it starts, when you load, it reaches FFFF. So the total number of count is 13 in decimal or 0dh. So this is the number of count. FFF2 to FFF3 is one count. FFF3 to FFF4 is one count. Like this, from FFF2 up to FFFF until it rolls over, the total number of count is 13. However, we add 1 to 13 because one extra clock needed when it rolls over. When it reaches FFFF and it has to go to the 0000, one extra clock pulse is required here from for counting purpose from FFFF to 000. That's why 1 is again added to the count value. So whenever it rolls over from FFFF to 0, it raises the TF flag. This gives 14 into 1.085 microseconds. So that is equal to 15.19 microseconds for a half the pulse. This is half the pulse. That is, you are going to generate a square wave when you use a CPL P1.5. Suppose previous value is 0, it complements that value. So half period you are going to call a delay. So for that purpose you are using 15.19 microseconds. For entire period you have to calculate. A square wave consists of T on and T off. So that is a total time. So T is equal to T on plus T off. For T off or T on, which is 50% duty cycle in square wave, one half is required 15.19 microseconds. So another half is also going to require the same value 15.19 microseconds. So for the entire period it is T is equal to 2 into 15.19 microseconds. So that is equal to 30.38 microseconds as the time delay generated by the timer. That means a square wave which has 30.38 microseconds to generate one square wave. In the box, the calculation how to calculate the value is given in hexadecimal as well as in the decimal. To calculate the value in hexadecimal, what you have to do is FFFF minus the loaded value. In our case it is FFF2. So FFFF minus YYXX plus 1. YYXX means the value that you are going to load into the TL0 and TH0. So that is need to be counted. YY is the higher byte and XX is the lower byte plus 1. This value, whatever the count that you get, that value must be multiplied with 1.085 microseconds, where YYXX are the TH and TL initial values respectively. Notice that value YYXX are in hexadecimal. If you want to load the value in hexadecimal, this is the calculation. In decimal, if you want to do, then you have to convert that value of YYXX. In our example, it is FFF2. So this value must be converted into decimal. Then it has to be loaded into the TL register. Then to get a value in decimal, that is value in decimal, that is FFFF. When you convert this, it becomes 65,536. That must be subtracted. This 65,536 minus the converted value of YYXX in decimal must be subtracted. So that value must again multiplied with 1.085 microseconds. So this is the method in decimal. So usually we use in a hexadecimal. For that purpose, use FFFF minus the value loaded into the TH and TL register, that is YYXX plus 1, and multiply the result in the result with 1.085 microseconds. Example 3. So in the example 1, whatever we have discussed, calculate the frequency of a square wave generated on pin P1.5. So observe here, to get more accurate timing, we need to add clock cycles due to this instruction in the loop. To do that, we have to use a machine cycles. So from where we have to get the machine cycles? You have to go through the appendix A of a textbook, the 8051 microcontroller by Muhammad Ali Majdi. So in the appendix A, the machine cycles are given. So each and every instruction, the machine cycles are given. So observe this program. Machine cycles, move TL0, hash F2H, move TH0, comma hash ffh, the same program is taken here, but they have included the machine cycles here, clock cycles. So using clock cycles, so as you can see, the JNB TF0 again, it is taken as 14 because one instruction takes one clock cycle here, but it counts, the count is 14, 13 plus 1 in this case. That's why 14 times that instruction is executed in a loop. That's why 14 is the clock cycles. So total, when you add the number of clock cycles, it is going to be 28. So T is equal to 2 into 28. That is because this program is for 1/2 of the total period. That's why you are going to generate a square wave, means at least 2 times it has to execute. That's why 2 into 28, total number of clock cycles into the time period, that is t equal to 1.085 microseconds that we have calculated earlier. So this is the method, 2 into the number of clock cycles into 1.085 microseconds. So you are going to get 60.76 microseconds. When you divide to calculate the frequency, 1 upon t you have to do. So 1 upon 60.76 microseconds, you will get 16458.2 hertz, that is 16,458.2 hertz, that is the frequency. So in this example, we are calculating the frequency of a square wave. So either way you can do. Here we are using the clock cycles. Instead of that one, the previous method whatever we have done, the same method you can use. The total number of the total time that is required, you just divide it, that time that is t, f is equal to 1 upon t. If you do, you will get a frequency. Next example, find the delay generated by timer 0 in the following code. So observe the code here. You have to find the delay generated by timer 0. So go through the program, clear P2.3, move tmode, comma #01h, load the value into TL0 and TS0. That is another arbitrary value is taken here. B8 is loaded in TH0 and 3E is loaded in TL0. Set bit P2.3. We are using P2.3 to generate a square wave here. Now observe, start the timer, set bit TR0, then monitor the timer flag 0. Whenever the value from B83E to FFFF from 000 from 0, it rolls over, the TF0 is 0 always, then it rolls over, TF0 becomes 1, then it will come to the next instruction, clear timer 0, that is stop the timer, then clear the flag, then again clear P2.3, means next value is loaded, that is complement the value. Now to find the delay generated by this timer 0, the method is, solution is given. The original value, the highest value using 16-bit is FFFF minus the TH0 and TL0 value, that is B83E, that is subtracted from FFFF plus 1 because from FFFF to 000 one more count is required, that's why plus 1. So when you do this is the hexadecimal method, 47C2H. So the value is 47C2H. When you convert this value into decimal, it is 18,370, 18370 in decimal. So this number must be multiplied with 1.085 microseconds. So when you do this, you are going to get 19.93145 milliseconds. Next step, since TH and TL B83EH is nothing but 47,166 in decimal, we have to subtract 65,536 minus that value 47,166. The same value again you get 18,370. The above method is, first step A is hexadecimal method, the second step is decimal method. So this means that the timer counts from B38E to FFFF. This plus rolls over to 0, goes through a total of 18,370. This is the count clock cycles. So these are the total number of clock cycles, where each clock cycle requires 1.085 microseconds time in duration. Therefore we have 18,370 into 1.085 microseconds, total is 19.93145 milliseconds are the width of the pulse. Next example, example number 5. Modify TL and TH in previous example, that is example number 4, to get the largest time delay possible. Find the delay in milliseconds. In your calculation, exclude the overhead due to the instruction in the loop. So solution, to get the largest delay, we make TL and TH value both must be 0. So as you know, we were earlier loading some arbitrary value into TH and TL value. Now we have to get a largest or highest delay. To load highest delay, we have to load a initial value 0. So from 0 it should count up to FFFF. This is the highest time. That's why the program to get the largest delay, we make TH and TL both 0. This will count up from 000 to FFFF. Then it rolls over. The program is same. Only thing is that you are loading the value TL0 and TH0 with a value 00. So making TH and TL both 0 means that the timer will count from 0000 to FFFF. There is no change in the program, only the count value TL0 and TH0 value is 0 here. And then roll over to rise TF flag. As a result, it goes through a total of 65,536. From 0000 to FFFF, total number is 65,535 plus 1. That's why 65,536. Therefore, we have a delay 65,536 into 1.085 microseconds. So total time delay is 71.1065 milliseconds. Next, we are going to calculate the values to be loaded into the TL and TH register. Look at the following example. Until now, we have just loaded some arbitrary value into the TL and TH register. Now, a particular value must be loaded in TL and TH register. That how to do that one we are going to see. Assume crystal oscillator Xtal is equal to 11.052 megahertz. We can use the following steps to find TH and TL register values. So first, divide the desired time delay by 1.085 microseconds. So to calculate the count TH and TL, what you have to do, the step is, first you have to divide the given delay. How much delay that you want, that is going to be given. In the previous example, we have calculated the delay. Now in this example, we are going to provide you the delay. So what you have to do is divide the desired delay, time delay, by the number 1.085 microseconds. This is a standard number, standard time that we have used earlier, and how to calculate that one we have seen. So for perform 65,536 minus n, where n is the decimal value we got in step 1. So when you divide the time delay by 1.085 microseconds, you will get some number. So that number must be subtracted from 65,536. Why 65,536? Because we are using a time mode 1, in which from 000 to FFFF, the maximum number plus 1. So 65,536 minus the result of divided value, that is time delay must be divided with 1.085 microseconds. That value, the resulted value, must be subtracted from 65,536. Then third step, convert that result of step 2 into hexadecimal. So whatever the number that you are going to get is in decimal, convert that number into hexadecimal. where YYX is the initial hex value to be loaded into the timer's register. So YYXX in which XX is the lower byte, YY is the higher byte. So lower byte XX must be loaded in TL register. Step number 4, set TL as XX. That is lower byte XX is nothing but your value must be loaded in TL register, and YY, that is higher byte, must be loaded in TH register. This is the step how to calculate TL and TH register. What you have to do, you have to divide the desired time delay by 1.085 microseconds, then perform 65,536 minus the resulted value, it is n, where n is the decimal value that we have got the step number 1. Then convert that result into decimal, you will get some number. So that in that number, hexadecimal number, you will get lower byte must be loaded in TL register, higher byte must be loaded in TH register. Example. So using this step we are going to do the example. We are assume that crystal X star equal to 11.059 megahertz. What value do we need to load the timer's register if we want to have a time delay of 5 milliseconds? Show the program for timer 0 to create a pulse width of 5 milliseconds on P2.3. As you can observe here, the time delay is given, that is 5 milliseconds. You have to create the square wave on a P2.3. So since crystal frequency is 11.059, the counter counts up to 1.085 microseconds. So this means that out of many 1.085 microsecond interval, we must make 5 milliseconds pulse. To get that, we divide one by the other. That is, we need 5 milliseconds divided by 1.085 microseconds. So we are going to get 4608 clocks. To achieve that, we need to load TL and TH value. So 65,536 minus 4608, whatever the steps that we have discussed earlier, the same thing we are doing here. 65,536 minus the resulting value. So you'll get EE00H. So EE00, in which 00 is the lower byte, EE is the higher byte. 00 must be loaded in TL register and EE must be loaded in TH register. So the program is same. The only thing is that count must be different. So as EE00 must be loaded, observe the program. TL0 is loaded with 0 and TH0 is loaded with EEH. One more example. Assume that crystal X star equal to 11.059 megahertz. Write a program to generate square wave of 2 kilohertz frequency on P1.5. Here the time frequency is given 2 kilohertz. So what how to do this one? So to generate a frequency of exactly 2 kilohertz, so follow the solution. This is similar to the example number 1, except that we must toggle bit generate the square wave. Look at the following steps. T is equal to 1 upon F. F is given here 2 kilohertz. So that is, the count is 500 microseconds, the period of the square wave. So this is the period of the square wave. 1 upon 2 of the for the high and low portions, as the square wave period is 500 milliseconds, out of which the it is a total period 500 milliseconds. So we have a on period and off period. So half of that is on period, half of that is off period. That's why half of it for high and half of it for low portion of the pulse, that is 250 microseconds. So 250 microseconds is on period, 250 microseconds is off period. On period plus off period is nothing but total period. Total period is 500 microseconds. So 250 microseconds divided by 1.085 microseconds is nothing but 230. So you have to subtract 65,536 minus 230. You will get 65,306, which is a hex. When you convert this number into hexadecimal, it is FF1AH. So load 1A into TL register, load FF into TH register. So this is how the program is written. The program is same, no difference, only the th1 and th1 and tl1 value is different here. As you are using a timer 0, load a value into tmode register, then load the value tl1 and th1 with a value of 1ah and ffh. So if you want to load into the timer 1, you must modify the tmode value. So tmode value, they have loaded the value as timer 0, but you have to load the value into timer 1. So mode 1 value must be different here. So make that correction. Otherwise everything is loaded in a observed in a mode 1 register only. If you have any doubts, you can post your doubts in the Google Classroom. Thank you for watching the video.